Hello and welcome to Is This England, a show where we talk about old and new England games and ask just how England was this.
The Three Lions are back to close out a long season with two Euro 24 qualifiers. Can Southgate's boys continue their march to Germany in style?
You may be a stranger, that's what time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me. Darling, there's no danger with all that we've been through.
We're back in the current era. We're back live, so to speak, because the season may be over for our club teams, but the national side, they've got to have the final say, the last word.
The national side lingers on and gets fit around the wheels of club football, which is the way it's been for a very long time. But my God, I am a very positive man about international football, but the idea that there is more football coming now after this kind of season where we've had a World Cup in the middle of it,
God, yeah.
it just feels like, what are we doing? I remember last summer with like the Nations League games, the qualifiers for that, which was Hungary, Germany, and Italy, and I'd already forgotten those were the games that are now of consequence because the Nations League finals are happening.
Yeah, I wasn't aware, so we could have been there maybe.
Yeah,
So
it could have
do you
been
know
there
who's
if
who's in
England would
it?
have done a bit better. I think, I'm assuming Italy won that group that we were in. I've gotten absolutely no idea, but I saw a headline this morning when I was waiting for the Premier League fixtures to come out on the BBC, and it was like fixtures about to be announced, transfer news, all that kind of stuff. And then in the bottom little bit, it was just Croatia stun Netherlands, and I'm like, are we still being surprised that Croatia are really good? Like, especially against the Netherlands, like hardly putting up like loads of trees. They were fine at the World Cup, and yeah, Croatia just forever brilliant. Like, why are we surprised still?
Yeah, so Croatia are in the final. At time of recording, there's a game tonight which is Spain versus Italy, so that'll be fun, but that's not what we're here
Proper
to talk
international
about.
game, that isn't it?
It is, but it's proper international slugs as well. Croatia v Italy in the final. Can you imagine? England's
just
nemesis.
just Modric running through yet another another midfield while they're all what are they at the minute, Italy? They're bad at the minute, aren't they? That's there's like a very fine area where they're amazing, but then just bad right now, I think.
They're like Mick Channon, the Mick Channon of international football.
Very inconsistent, but the highs, oh the highs.
Oh, the highs. England have two games coming up over the coming days. The first is against Malta, and the second is against North Macedonia. Not sure which one's home or away. They may both be away. They may both be at home. I'm not 100% sure. Should have
I know
researched.
that North, yeah, well, this is what comes on this podcast, is it? North Macedonia, I'm pretty sure it's at home because I think it's Old Trafford.
All right, okay, yeah, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah,
And Malta is away. Brilliant. Um,
that's some away that is, isn't it? I do remember I looked on our socials and saw that some people had gone out there to go and
yeah,
watch the game, obviously. So it was just like, oh, that is great fun, isn't it?
top Lions, top Lions. We left the boys in around about March time. The last time we saw them, they picked up two wins against Italy and Ukraine. Italy was away and Ukraine was at home. Probably the notable story of that time was Harry Kane becoming England's all-time leading goal scorer. On the face of it, it's a five-team qualification group, so it would appear we've put some of the harder games in our rearview mirror, so to speak. And after Monday, we're halfway there towards qualification. I feel like it's quite a small group size, five teams.
Yeah, we've seen some other ones where we've done the podcast previously where it's just like there are eight teams in this group and it's all terrible. I think when for feed when we're doing kind of past games and looking at stuff, we're about to or I've just launched into our McLaren Odyssey, and
Yeah,
I'm sure England had about seven teams in that group. And that
yeah.
was for the Euros as well, and now it's just down to five. Like I can't really understand why it changes so much over the years. I get like more
Mhm.
nations become UEFA registered and should
Isn't
have a
it,
chance of qualifying, but it's just like, why are we now playing less games?
and isn't the tournament going to be bigger?
Maybe. I think it was bigger last time. It was bigger for 2016, definitely.
Yeah.
2016. Yeah, I think it was 2016. And then obviously we had the Euros in 2021, which was probably bigger. It was COVID. Who knows what happened?
Yeah, so that's looking back and looking ahead. We'll come on to the games and the squad a little bit more as we progress through this pod. But let's move on and look at some of the stories involving England players as the season draws to an end. And really, there's no place to start other than with Jack Grealish and his never-ending session. Nick, I haven't been able to move for pics of Jack celebrating, whether that's topless on top of a bus, whether that's being carried onto a plane by Calvin Phillips, whether it's him on top of a bus picking out a girl that he likes the look of and telling her so,
You put that very
drinking,
politely.
being fed a bottle of Grey Goose and things like that.
Hmm.
King Jack, I should say, really has enjoyed one hell of a party after helping Man City to a Champions League win as part of their historic treble. Where do we start? Do we want to start with the silliness, or do we want to start with Jack's kind of performances?
Yeah, it's interesting with Grealish, isn't it? He's obviously had his breakthrough, well, kind of like a slow build, like a slow burn a year at City following, £100 million move, and they just go, nope, not this year. We're fine for Jack for now. And then they've taken their time, and he's bedded himself into the team, and he's kind of become that City player, that robot almost that City want to bring, and like it makes them tick.
Yeah,
And maybe that's taken some of the fun out of his game. Like you kind of did see him when he would have more daring and more freedom to go and just take players on instead of like, okay, this is the sequence we have to do now. But it's clearly worked. It's made him a better team player. Whether that'll happen for what that does for England, I feel like he's still that kind of player that can just switch. Like he'll just be like, right, I'm just going to go and embarrass the right back today. Like he's
yeah,
still got that in his locker. It's not like it's made him different, because when we see him for England, actually, a lot of the time it is from the bench. So
yeah,
you're not quite sure if there is something else still lying underneath there.
yeah. Um, it's been an interesting season and a really positive one for Grealish. I would kind of say by the end of it, he's really crucial to Man City and has always kind of performed well for them. Seems a good character to bring the squad together as well. Gives them all something silly that they can sort of laugh about. But obviously, he takes his football very seriously. Last time we spoke on current England, Marcus Rashford was kind of in the form of his life, really, for Manchester United. It really did seem insane that anyone but him would take up the left forward role for England. You've mentioned Jack is kind of a really good option from the bench, but because of his kind of newfound tactical discipline, I suppose, does that make him a bit more of a likely candidate to be Southgate's, starting player in that position?
If it was maybe any other manager but Southgate, I'd probably say there's a good chance of that. But Gareth is not for turning, and he's kind of got his idea, which I don't think is wrong. If he's got his favourites and the players that he is going to keep playing, I don't. It's not like England aren't qualifying for tournaments and they're getting knocked out in the group stage, so it works. It's just whether he does decide that now is the time to maybe change and experiment a little bit.
Yeah,
Because I think really with the games coming up, Malta away, England would do bad to not win that quite comfortably. So you think, is there a chance for Grealish to kind of start and go, okay, let's kind of see what you can do, because we're not really that far removed from the world going, Phil Foden just has to start on that left hand side. We are like the last tournament, end of last year, away from that, and now there's three players, including him, who's in the squad, where you could maybe say that they're fighting for that with Rashford and Grealish. But it's going to be interesting. I'd like him to just try something maybe, but I'm almost certain it's going to be. I'm probably coming to a little later, a Jordan Henderson esque kind of like, you're learning nothing, you lose nothing from this round of fixtures.
yeah. We're also not that far removed from Jack's never-ending party, as we say. Did you see the picture of him
Yeah,
and all the Man City lads arriving for England duty with his little eyes?
yeah.
I mean, he
It
looked
looked,
a bit rough, but still probably, better than 99.9% of us at our absolute best, despite being on a 5-day
yeah,
session.
yeah. I've never looked that good in my entire life. I never will. So it's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it
I think
hasn't
he's.
happened now, it's probably not going to happen, is it?
I know. Yeah, yeah. I think. Yeah, that's the thing of like with some of the City players. Are they going to be so pissed that they're not really able to play for England?
Well, that's what I mean, especially him. Did you see the "I am a turkey and the turkey needs feeding" bit?
I don't think I saw that one.
He commandeered the microphone, which is kind of always worrying, and was asked to give it back by the lady who was kind of host, master of ceremonies for this bus parade, and he was like, "No, no, no, 1 second," and then he said, "I am the turkey, and the turkey needs feeding," and then kind of put his arms behind his back and his head up. And yeah, had vodka poured down his neck. I mean, a lot of vodka as well. I hope those bottles were watered down, or he can seriously drink. But I
I'm
imagine that's a move that's going to be replicated all summer long on awful lads' holidays.
Yeah, I am going to Glastonbury next week, so
Yeah.
that could play a part. I'm going with a City fan as well, actually, so that'll be very very fun. That's not a phrase.
No,
Like
it's not a phrase. No.
like I'm not I didn't miss something. Like I've just missed the entire existence of Dua Lipa or something.
I think it's a bit of an in
I
joke,
am a
maybe.
turkey, and a turkey needs feeding for Christmas. Is Guardiola going to kill him?
we, we don't know. We can never be sure, really. But I think that's Jack kind of squared off there. I, for one, can't see him playing on Friday. I love that he just gets away with it now, though. Like,
Yeah,
there was a period where it's like, oh, he's a bit of a knob outside of the thingy, but he's just so loved by everyone. And
yeah.
it's almost just like, I'm not Paul Gascoigne, but when I'm not playing football and the season's done, I'm gonna get Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I saw someone the other day on Twitter just being like, this kind of reminds you of like, people going out and getting, or the City players, especially going out and getting wrecked. Like that period during lockdown where Kyle Walker literally couldn't stop having orgies. Like, like you just forget all this kind of stuff and it's just like, oh, it's just people celebrating. And I'm all, in favor for it. People who kind of do whatever they want if they're, not hurting anybody or whatever. And I'd like to see Grealish play half pissed. Just
Yeah,
see actually what would that do to like a proper top level sports person.
yeah.
Just be like, you've been on it a couple of days here, like badly as well. And like when he comes on, it should be like entrance music. It should be that Fleetwood Mac song he's had.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think if anyone can pull it off, it would be Jack. We're gonna kind of flip the narrative a little bit now and focus on a bit of a darker story. Ivan Toney, who just before the World Cup, news broke that Toney could face some form of punishment for breaking betting rules. Since we last spoke, he's been given an 8-month ban, which will come to an end in January 2024, meaning he's going to miss the rest of qualification. Toney was the third highest scorer in the Prem this season with 20 goals, second highest English scorer after Harry Kane, obviously. Toney said this week, so I thought this was quite an interesting quote. The news came out just before the England camp. I missed that and the World Cup. Honestly, that would have been my biggest dream. It was like, get it out now so he doesn't go with England. And then all of a sudden, they want to wait until the end of the season to announce the suspension. I call it a bit spiteful, but it is what it is. I felt like that was a bigger punishment. Even now, I'm missing 8 months of football. I feel like that was a bigger punishment, missing out on the World Cup. That's everybody's dream. Now I'm just missing 8 months of football. Um, I think that Gareth Southgate has said a couple of months ago, maybe we're not in the like. I think it's very important that we don't cast players aside and treat them like outcasts. I kind of feel like that statement may be a nail in the coffin of Ivan Toney's England career if the if the ban isn't. I feel like very pointed, and it's the kind of thing that the FA don't like. It's whether
I
it's
think
whether they have the say instead of Southgate, or whether Southgate sees it as a bit of a closed door now.
I don't know. I think it came out when he was going to the England camp, and he was obviously in Southgate's thoughts. It came out just before the World Cup when he was expected to be named in it. It was pretty much known that the reason he wasn't named in that squad was because of the betting stuff.
Mm.
We'll just call it that. so he didn't go to the World Cup. But then since we knew that the ban was coming, so Southgate included him anyway. So to me, that's kind of like, look, you've done what you've done. The punishment will be what it is. So when you are done, there is still life for you to be playing for England.
I definitely agree with that. I think in reality, the reality might be a little bit different with all the qualifiers gone before he's back, a season halfway through. Who knows what can happen in that time. I hope he's not finished. He's currently 27 years old and would likely have been in the transfer rumour mill for a big move this summer, so to speak. And like you say, he had finally managed to get that England call up. So it's a shame. Punishment is what it is, as you say, but no Ivan Toney this time round. Callum Wilson's back in. I don't know if you saw... do you remember, I think I've mentioned it on the pod before, when Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored for England, and because Dominic Calvert-Lewin wears different clothes to the rest of the team, he'd scored, and it was like a goal for England's dedicated follower of fashion.
Yeah.
Callum Wilson is apparently an art collector, so keep your eyes peeled and your ears peeled for a mention of, it's like a painting if he scores a goal.
Was this like, well, he scored and played for England before, has he? But I didn't know the art stuff.
That's what I mean. The art stuff has since come out.
Right, oh, right. It's
That's like a story on the Guardian today, as an interview with him about his art collection.
Right, okay. I'm actually very clever and I like art. It was the last footballer I remember that being with, it was like David James.
Yeah, didn't work out so well for him.
Wasn't it like Rio Ferdinand did like a prank show? And it was like, oh, we're going to go and get JMO with some art stuff. And it was just, I can't remember if that was that, or if it was just like, it was a serious documentary.
No,
but
it was a
like
prank
that,
show.
Yeah. Well, do you remember that the documentary King in a Car Park?
King in the Car Park?
Yeah.
No.
it was when they were trying to find the body of Richard III, and he was in a car park in Leicester.
Right.
And one of the guys presenting it was like a known comedy actor. So I was watching the whole thing, just going, "This is really like, where's all the jokes?" Like, and then you'd find things funny that weren't funny, like supposed to be. But you're like, "Oh, this is serious." I thought it was like an office like mockumentary. And I feel that's kind of like the same thing. What happened with David James? I was like, "Is this supposed to be good? Is it the same?"
Well, while we're on the subject of sort of high culture, I found this quite interesting today. There's been a play written called Dear England, and the central character of that play is Sir Gareth Southgate. Now, Southgate may not be everyone's favourite man at the moment, but the play is written by James Graham and is described as a deep dive into Southgate's transformation of the feeling inside and around the men's national football team, starting with the Iceland loss. A really good subject, I think, for a drama. Surprised to see it on the... I think it's probably better that it's on the stage rather than on the screen. I can imagine the screen version being really bad.
Yeah, if it was like when they were going to do that Jamie Vardy film, weren't they? Then they like delved into his past a bit and like, probably not. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. How much it kind of like, who is it really aimed at? Then it's like, okay, theatre going football fans, or is it like the hoity-toities? Like, who is this for?
It's to try and get new people into theatres, I think. So they're imagining that there's a certain intellect of football fans who may be interested in going. I don't think they're imagining getting the likes of that West Ham fan who dove to everyone's rescue in the Europa League semis. Yeah, Nolsey. I thought it was quite interesting. Southgate is played by Joseph Fiennes, brother of Rafe, which is an interesting choice. I'd heard before that they're an acting family, but this is the first evidence I think I've seen of it.
Oh, did you not know of the other Fiennes?
No, apparently he played Michael Jackson before as well.
Oh, I saw that as well. Just like, didn't he say sort of like, it was a mistake?
Yeah, definitely. Another quote here from James Graham, the writer of Dear England. He says, "I just think Gareth is one of the nation's greatest playwrights at the moment, in terms of how he is finding language to solve a problem, to capture a mood, to tell a really brilliant and inspiring story on a national stage. That's what I do, and he's trouncing me." He wants a reaction. He wants a bite there, doesn't he? I think Gareth is one of the nation's greatest playwrights at the moment. hasn't written a play. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. I think it'd be interesting to see. Apparently, the cast are all like fresh out of drama school, and it's about trying to give people a chance, like Gareth did with 2018. You know, they mentioned that the squad was quite youthful there at the time.
In other words, the budget's gone on fines.
Yeah, yeah. We needed a name, even if it's just
It's-
a popular surname.
Yeah, they've got looking at like a picture like back to back of them. They're not dissimilar, even though Joseph has got a bit of the grub Jared Leto about him.
Yeah, the picture we're looking at, it's a little bit Daniel Day-Lewis.
I thought Dale Lewis as well.
There
Yeah,
Will Be
it's
Blood.
got a bit of that with like extremely thick beard.
Dear England is on at the National Theatre from June the 10th to August the 11th. I would take some free tickets for us if the boys wanted to get in touch. We'll do a pod about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why not? And yeah, it should be. With the title is like Dear England.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a bit the wrong way around. Because when I read it, it was like England, dear God.
It's named after the letter Southgate wrote to the country during Euro 2021.
The one right at the start that was like, look, stop being dickheads about the taking the knee.
Yeah, basically that was the core message.
In other words, don't boo the black players, please. You had to write that.
Yeah, so the play's produced, it's out there. It's an interesting move. Another interesting move related to England players is that of Jude Bellingham. I think we've spoken about this before when the transfer was rumoured, but it is all confirmed now. Jude Bellingham is a Real Madrid player for the next 6 seasons. I think £88 million and just over €100 million. Jude isn't in the squad, but I mean, I think this is an absolutely supremely exciting move for England and obviously the player.
Yeah, I mean, just the stuff of dreams, isn't it? You know, and a young English player goes to Real Madrid for his entire prime. Really, he could go on to be absolutely anything for Real Madrid, and just amazing. Kind of, we saw, he'd been great for Dortmund for a long time, but we can always, there's a lot of players who have, in a way, come from Germany to England and don't really have that. They don't have that much of a great time. You look at Jadon Sancho's really struggled, and it seems like every single player who goes to Man United from Borussia Dortmund is not very good. But you felt it was different with Bellingham because he was so young, took so much responsibility on. And then when you look at what he did, that breakout performance against Germany before the World Cup last year, he made himself an absolute stalwart in the team. And yeah, just amazing news. And I like the idea that he's completing his move to Real Madrid and counting his money, and that's the reason he's out of the England game, which is just like, yeah, fine. Did you like with the Grealish stuff? Just agree with it. Like, what's the benefit of him coming to England now?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned
one thing I did just notice before we started recording as well. I've seen that he's been unveiled as we're speaking now to the press, and Sid Lowe, the Spanish journalist, he's English journalist who covers Spanish football, I think. And he was like, "Oh yeah, hello, Sid Lowe, the Guardian." And he was like, "Just want to say, Sid, massive fan. I used to watch La Liga on Sky all the time. It's great." That was like he just stepped straight over and was like, "I enjoy your work as well." I thought that was great.
I love the sensible head he has on his shoulders and the sort of. He reminds me a bit of Casemiro. How they say he's definitely going to be a manager. I could see Jude being in football for his entire life. You mentioned there that he's going to Real Madrid for his entire prime. By the time the contract's up, he'll be 25.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is it? It's just like he can sign another. It's fine.
The thing is, I didn't think of this, and I have to say, your nemesis Mark Goldbridge said this when the first transfer, when it was kind of like this is going to happen. Real Madrid don't lose players when they want to keep them. So if Jude does well, he's not really going to be. If Jude does really well, they're not going to go, okay, we'll accept an offer for you with a season or two left of your contract, or we'll let your contract wind down. He could, in theory, be there until his 30s, and then at that point, are we going to miss the best of Jude in the Prem? I mean, it's a long ways away, but it's worth noting, as we say, Real Madrid if they like you, they will keep you because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I know Man City are the big dogs at the moment, but there's a reason he's
It's
gone to Real
different.
Madrid. It's different, like you say.
It's different, isn't it? There's been speculation, in the transfer window that Manchester United were apparently going to go for Harry Kane. As soon as you hear Real Madrid are involved, you just go, well, it's not going to happen, is it? Because it's fucking Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And they are, no matter what anyone says, the biggest club in the world. They've got the big, the history, they've got the fans, they've got the reach, they've got the money, they've got everything about them of being the dream club.
They got
Goal
the
wasn't written for an English club, was it really? Apart from Newcastle, clearly second biggest club in the world. But
yeah.
like that's the dream for pretty much every single player to go abroad and play and live the lifestyle and do that. And yeah, if he moves club, within the next decade, then something's gone wrong. Almost.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. He's also going to be playing in white, which is good for England.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. He's going to look great in that kit as well, isn't he? Which is
his England kit is probably the second heaviest white shirt that he'll wear going forward, which is new, I think, for a lot of the players.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because with Real Madrid, you do one bad thing and the fans immediately hate you and they wave the hankies and all that. Like Cristiano Ronaldo was their greatest goal scorer ever, and at times they hated him.
Yeah.
Like, so what chances does anybody have? And there's also the issues that are going on in Spanish football at the moment, which Vinicius has been like central to as well, and it's something unfortunately that he probably hasn't thought about, and you shouldn't have to think about. But it's one of those awful subjects, isn't it? I'm just like, God, you just hope that things like that just get sorted and people get banned, and a player can just go without having to worry about these things.
He seems the type as well where he could see like, this is a platform that I have and I will speak out on these things. And Vinicius has been really good on that. So maybe Jude will be a bit of an ally if Vinicius does stay there. I think that's kind of all of the stories surrounding the squad and the team and the nation covered, rounded off. So let's have a look at the games that are coming up then. Another word on the squad, obviously we mentioned Bellingham misses out. Lewis Dunk is also missing out. Bit of a shame, that one. I feel like he was one where the fans were very much kind of clamouring, maybe because he's a competitor for Harry Maguire.
Yeah, and he's kind of come in as the new Maguire almost, in terms of like, oh, actually he's really good. I know he's been around for a little while, but I'd want to see him given a go. He's one of the good ones, isn't he? Even though he's been around forever.
Yeah, he has had a good season, as have Brighton. The squad goalkeepers: Sam Johnston, Jordan Pickford, Aaron Ramsdale. Defenders: Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mark Guehi, Harry Maguire, Tyron Mings, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, and Kyle Walker. Midfielders: Eberici Eze, Conor Gallagher, Jordan Henderson, James Maddison, Calvin Phillips, and Declan Rice. Forwards: Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, and Callum Wilson. Pretty as you'd expect, really. There is the big surprise in there. Not a surprise, but the exciting one is Eze. Do we want to start with him?
Yeah. He's been brilliant, hasn't he? Really for Palace in the back end. Once Roy the Boy picked them up and got them just like playing amazing football, really, and winning games, which is something that you just didn't expect when you heard that Hodgson was coming back.
Yeah, he's kind of attributed his call up to Hodgson, which is great.
Yeah.
Good to know that Hodgson still has a hand in the goings on at the FA, despite resigning himself in disgrace, which I'll never forgive him for.
Absolutely, your favourite thing that ever happened in football. But yeah, Eze's a really interesting one. I really would love to see England start him in a game. Which is a bit unlucky for James Maddison, because I'd kind of thought, I wonder what the England team will look like, and just totally forgot that James Maddison existed, which has just been the normal, really. But you just think like, yeah, maybe him playing centrally would be really good. Maybe one on and one off for them, because without Bellingham, there isn't that player who's going to break from midfield or playing that 10 role. So maybe Maddison one game, Eze another.
I do feel like Bellingham is that 10 role. I wonder if that's where he'll play for Real Madrid, but he's done really well for England there, and he has all the attributes to really work it. So, yeah, I guess they're fighting out to be the alternative to him. Depends who we decide to go with alongside Rice in the middle, obviously, or if Grealish, if Southgate ever wants to make people happy and play Foden or Grealish in a number 10, which they never do.
I know, yeah. Interesting as well. You know who's made us look stupid?
The list is so long.
Yeah.
I couldn't have a. Is it Jordan Henderson?
No, it's not. No, it is Chris Sutton. So do you
Oh.
remember we last did the games and he was like, James Maddison has to start. The shirt is his now. He's done nothing wrong. And he probably will start. And we said, what an idiot, as if he's going to like be starting again for England anytime soon.
Does he? No, I think we were mainly saying that he was going a bit overboard because he played fine, but there was no way that was the shirt is his. But you are right. I could see him starting. I'd prefer him to start as a.
He said the shirt is his. Now that was the most recent game. And the shirt is probably still his. That's going to be the thing I'm looking forward to the most out of these England games is Chris Sutton better than us?
You absolute sadist. We've got Manchester United target Jordan Pickford. Probably going to start in goal. No, I don't think that's true, but the rumours are out there. I mean, there's quite a lot of these players who are kind of. There's not going to be massive amounts of transfer speculation surrounding them, which is probably good going into a tournament year. I mean, Harry Kane is the big one. But other than that, James Maddison will probably move. Declan Rice will probably move. Defense seems pretty sure. Maybe Harry
will probably
Maguire.
move, won't he? Yeah.
Yeah. So there are a few in there, but I think the squad itself is quite settled. I would love for there to be some. I mean, I can't keep asking for young, amazing midfielders to come through. But and no offense to Jordan Henderson, but I'd love another option there, or Calvin Phillips to get some more minutes at Man City just to shore up the centre of the park.
I think that's the only thing, is it, at the moment with England? Obviously, there's issues in slight issues in defence, kind of, just because Maguire's not playing and he's kind of, you would like someone better to come along and stop him. But John Stone's going back into centre midfield, centre defence when he has been playing right back and basically in midfield. I did see someone like, oh, maybe we should put John Stones in centre midfield. It's like, it wouldn't work. Like, we already keep messing around with like wanting Alexander-Arnold there as well.
And you're taking
we can't keep doing this.
You're taking our good centre back away as well.
Yeah. And it's the point of like, even the FA or whoever runs the England website can't have that much faith in Tyrone Mings. So I was looking earlier on the site to see who the England squad were, and everyone's got the new kit on apart from Tyrone Mings, who's got the old one on.
Good spot.
They haven't even like updated his headshot.
Yeah, I guess it is what it is with these sort of games. There's never much to take from them. After 50 minutes of each one, you'd hope that we've got the game wrapped up and can just coast it out. I guess the best we can hope for is to see something exciting from Maddison or Eze or even Jack or Marcus, because they're kind of competing now in my mind for that space on the left. And if one of them or both of them can really put a claim in for it to be their shirt, that'd be something for Gareth to think about. But I don't think we play for a long time after this.
Yeah, it's it's September, obviously, because the season's there. But I think weirdly, I'm kind of more looking forward to the games in the autumn because there's some tasty ones in there. So 12th of September, it's Scotland at Hampden Park. And I think around that time we should delve in and do a couple of old Scotland games because they are like
one would be fine.
Yeah,
we don't need to do a couple. We've tried that in the past.
Well, there's one I picked out that I'd want to do, and basically just because it's a massive fight, the whole game apparently.
That sounds good.
And there's also England are playing Australia at Wembley.
Mental. Why are we doing that? Well, I'm not expecting an answer from you, but it seems a strange one.
Because they couldn't fit in another round of Nations League somehow. They just couldn't find a way of getting it in. So we've got a friendly against Australia. I'm well up for that. I think that'll be really good. And again, I've got a game in mind for that one. But then you're going into Italy in the October, which is the same round of fixtures as the Australia game as well. And then you're kind of back at the end of the year. I mean, God, when we do those November the 17th and 20th, Malta at home, North Macedonia away. Yeah, I think we
That-
may think they'll be over by then. Maybe Eze will
Isn't-
be kicking on.
Isn't that what
and
we're
Chris-
doing now?
Yeah, but like that's like at least it still matters qualifying at this point.
Yeah, you'd want it to be wrapped up nicely by then.
Yeah, I'd certainly hope so. Yeah, I'm hoping James Madison still hasn't got the shirt and is dragging us out of the shit. Yeah.
Well, I think that is probably a nice place to wrap it up nicely up for ourselves in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun, and we'll see. I'm off to Glastonbury next week, so I may struggle to get another one in, but let's see what we can do. Hopefully, we can have a nice resounding Malta and North Macedonia. Weren't they surprisingly fun?
Yeah, and also, you know, if you need a Euros qualification fix while Nick is at Glastonbury, we do have an entirely different beast of a Euro qualifications campaign coming out weekly, the Steve McLaren Odyssey. Keep your eyes out for that. But thank you, everyone. Take care.
You may be a stranger, that's what time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me. Darling, there's no danger